Hello, welcome to ASMR Fairy Tales. I'm so glad you're here with me tonight. Take a gentle breath, let it flow out slowly, and allow yourself to sink into this soft moment of peace tonight. A delicate tale of a girl no bigger than a thumb who journeys through meadows and darkness, searching for a place where she truly belongs. This is Thumbelina. Once upon a time, there lived a woman in a small cottage surrounded by flowers. She was kind, she was gentle, but her heart carried a quiet sadness, for she had no children, and she longed for a little one to love. One day, she visited a wise old woman, a kind of fairy, and said softly, "I wish so much for a child. Is there any way?" The old woman smiled, reached into her basket, and gave her a single seed, a barleycorn. "Plant this," she whispered, "and see what happens." The woman hurried home, planted the seed in a flower pot, and watered it with hope. Days passed, and a green shoot appeared, growing taller, budding, until at last a beautiful tulip stood before her, closed tight like a secret. The woman leaned close and kissed the petals, and the flower opened, revealing, sitting in the center, a tiny girl, no larger than a thumb, perfect in every way, with golden hair and eyes like morning dew. The woman named her Thumbelina, and made her a bed from a polished walnut shell, lined with violet petals and a rose petal blanket. She placed the shell on the windowsill, and there Thumbelina slept each night. During the day, she would float on a tulip petal in a bowl of water, singing in a voice so sweet and small it sounded like wind through flowers. But one night, while Thumbelina slept, a large toad hopped through the open window, wet and warty with bulging eyes. She saw the sleeping girl and croaked with delight, "What a perfect wife for my son." She snatched the walnut shell, hopped back through the window, and carried Thumbelina down to the muddy stream where she lived. The toad placed Thumbelina, still asleep, on a lily pad in the middle of the water, far from shore. When morning came and Thumbelina woke, she found herself alone, surrounded by water. The toad swam up with her ugly son and said, "This will be your husband. You'll live with us in the mud." Thumbelina's heart broke. Tears rolled down her cheeks and into the stream. Little fish swimming below heard her crying. They peeked above the water, saw the beautiful tiny girl, and felt such pity. They decided to help, swimming to the stem of the lily pad. They nibbled and gnawed until, snap, the stem broke free, and the lily pad floated away, carrying Thumbelina downstream, far from the toads. Thumbelina sailed past meadows and forests. Birds sang to her from the bushes. What a lovely little girl. A white butterfly circled her, enchanted, and landed gently on the leaf. Thumbelina tied her ribbon around him, and the butterfly pulled the leaf even faster through sparkling water and golden sunlight. She felt, for the first time in days, something like joy. But then a cockchafer beetle flew by. He saw Thumbelina and was captivated. Without asking, he swooped down, grabbed her by her tiny waist, and flew up into a tree. The leaf floated away, and with it, the butterfly still tied to the ribbon. Thumbelina's heart ached for him. The beetle brought her to his friends. Other beetles perched on branches. They looked at Thumbelina, tilted their heads, and said, "She only has 2 legs. How strange, she has no antennae. How ugly." The beetle embarrassed by their words, changed his mind. He carried Thumbelina back down to the ground and left her there, alone all summer. Thumbelina lived by herself in the great forest. She wove a hammock from blades of grass and hung it beneath a large leaf to keep dry when it rained. She ate nectar from flowers and drank dewdrops. She sang to keep herself company, and though she was lonely, she was free. But when autumn came, the leaves turned brown and fell, the flowers withered, the air grew cold. Thumbelina had no coat, no shelter strong enough for winter. Shivering and hungry, she wandered until she came to the edge of the forest, where a field mouse lived in a cozy burrow beneath the ground. The field mouse, seeing the poor frozen girl, took pity on her. "Come inside, dear," she said kindly. "You may stay with me through the winter, but you must keep my home clean and tell me stories." Thumbelina agreed gratefully. And so she lived with the field mouse, warm and safe, but still not truly home. One day, the field mouse's neighbor came to visit, a mole rich and scholarly, with a velvet coat and a large underground mansion. He was blind and preferred darkness to light. The mouse whispered to Thumbelina, "He would make a fine husband. You should marry him." Thumbelina's heart sank. She did not want to live forever underground, away from flowers and sky. The mole showed them his tunnels, long and dark. And there, lying still on the floor, was a swallow, her feathers dull, her body cold. "She must have frozen in the autumn," said the mole, kicking her aside. "Birds are such foolish creatures." But Thumbelina knelt beside the bird, her heart breaking that night. Thumbelina crept back into the tunnel with a blanket woven from hay. She covered the swallow gently and whispered, "Thank you for all the beautiful songs you sang in summer." And then she felt it, a heartbeat, faint but real. The swallow was alive every night. Thumbelina came to the tunnel, bringing water, bringing warmth, speaking softly. The swallow grew stronger. When spring arrived, she opened her eyes fully and said, "You saved me. Come with me, fly away to the warm lands where the sun always shines." But Thumbelina shook her head sadly. "I cannot leave the field mouse. She was kind to me." The swallow nodded, kissed Thumbelina's forehead with her beak, and flew away through a crack in the tunnel ceiling. Summer came, and with it Thumbelina's wedding day to the mole. She did not want to marry him, but the field mouse insisted on the morning of the wedding. Thumbelina stepped outside just once more to say goodbye to the sun. She looked up at the sky, tears streaming down her face. Goodbye, warm sunlight, goodbye. And then she heard it, a familiar song. Tweet, tweet. The swallow swooped down from the sky. "Thumbelina, come with me now. Don't marry the mole. I will take you somewhere beautiful." Without hesitation, Thumbelina climbed onto the swallow's back, and they flew up over forests and mountains, over rivers and seas, to a land where it was always spring. They landed in a meadow filled with white flowers, and in the heart of each flower lived a tiny person with delicate wings, flower folk, fairy people. In the largest flower sat a young king, no bigger than Thumbelina, with a golden crown and kind eyes. When he saw her, he smiled. "You are the most beautiful person I have ever seen. Will you be my queen?" Thumbelina looked around at the flowers, the light, the beings her own size, and she felt at last like she had come home. Yes, she whispered. The flower folk celebrated. They gave her delicate wings so she could fly, and placed a crown of blossoms on her head. They called her Maya, Queen of the Flowers. The swallow watched from a branch, her heart full. Be happy, little one, she sang. And when autumn came, she flew north again, carrying the story of Thumbelina, the girl no bigger than a thumb, who traveled through darkness and found her light here with ASMR fairy tales. May you always find your way home. May kindness guide you. And may you sleep deeply knowing you belong exactly as you are. Good night, sweet dreams.